Hello, I'm Scott, this is the Centurion, and welcome to a Halloween fragrance special. I'm going to start off by giving you a fragrance that I've paired up with a ghostly story. It's a story that I have experience with, but I'll get into that later on. Now, the fragrance that I'm pairing this story up with is Vulgari's Man in Black, brought out in 2014. The nose behind it is Alberto Morelos, and the top notes are tobacco, spices and rum. Mid notes are leather, tuberose and iris, and then in the base you've got gay wood, benzoin and tonka. Obviously it's a spicy, leather, woody fragrance. It's boozy, it's got that rum in there. It's perfect for cool, cold evenings. It's got class, sophistication. It smells absolutely divine, and I think it is probably one of the best designer fragrances that's ever been brought out. I like the whole line, the Vulgari Man line, but this is the jewel in the crown, basically. It's gorgeous, it's rich, it's deep, it's seductive, it's sexy. You can use it. It's fairly easy to wear in any environment, other than I would not wear that in a high heat, but it would be perfect for nights out, cozy nights in, cooler weather. It does suit more, but it's just an all-round really beautiful fragrance, and it smells a lot better than a designer fragrance. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, because you've heard me rattle on about this before. So it's Halloween, isn't it, or coming up to Halloween, so let's get on with the story, shall we? I used to work in a rock bar, a pub just around the corner here. I'll show you some videos in a little while of the place. But 25 years ago I lived there, and I was the bar manager, and to say that the place was slightly haunted would be an understatement. I lived there on my own for probably about 9 months. Longest 9 months of my life. But getting back to the story. Now, this is a Halloween fragrance spooky story, basically. I've paired up a fragrance with this story, not because the fragrance reminds me of this story, but because the name is really apt. Now, this place is called St Andrew's Hall, but about 600 years ago it was a Blackfriars Hall, monks or friars as you will. So underneath, everywhere around here, because it's so old and historical, are secret tunnels. And there used to be tunnels from here going over to a church over there, going to where I used to work, the Festival House, and over by what used to be called the Red Lion. There's a house down there. Now, I will show you some of that in a moment. One of the monks used to travel along the secret tunnels towards the Red Lion. Now, the Red Lion years ago used to be, as far as I can make out, there's no proof, used to be what was called a stew, which was a house, a bathing house basically, but along with bathing came other frolics and things like that. And they then slowly turned into brothels. Now, the lady in question that I'm talking about, her name is Catherine, and she was a lady of the night, should we say, and she used to get seen by this monk twice a week. He would travel the tunnels and then have his wicked way with her. To say that he wasn't very nice to her, without going into any details. But I will carry on the story in a second as we move. So you see, I know about the Man in Black, and the reason being is because I used to live there about 25 years ago, about 3rd floor up, And just below where this row is, that used to be a nightclub. Now I was working there one evening, it was empty, and I heard an almighty thud 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 upstairs, and I thought, well, there's no one else here. So I got onto the phone and I rang down to what was the Red Lion, and what happened then was I spoke to the landlord down there and I said, could you send someone up, because I'm worried that someone has broken in upstairs. So he sent someone up. Now that chap, God rest his soul, is not with us now, but his name was Tiny, funnily enough, and he was a massive bloke. And he came in, we locked up downstairs and went to investigate upstairs. Now upstairs, as I said, was the nightclub, and it was all black walls. It had painted cobwebs and rats and things to go in with the rock theme, and it was quite scary on its own. But to hear them noises was just something else. So we went upstairs. There was a huge fire escape door to get into the club, really heavy, and about a 50-foot long bar, and it was all dark, all the lights were off, all bar the fire escape lights above the doors. And right at the end was a little hatch, a serving hatch, where we used to serve food from, and it was all dark in there, and we heard glasses jingling about, but quite violently. And Tiny said to me, do you think someone's broken in? I said, I very much doubt that, because there is not one glass up here. We only serve plastics upstairs. There was no glass up there, so where was the glass noise coming from? So Tiny, being Tiny, shouted at the top of his voice, get out! And as he did, this bolt of energy, a black figure come rushing out of that hatch, flying through the fire escape door. And it was such a heavy door, I would not have been able to have opened that door like that. And we knew that it was something paranormal, and to this day I swear that that was the Man in Black. So that was my encounter with the Man in Black. And one of Catherine's favourite customers used to live here, and he was a Dutch guy, a Flemish guy. They were brought over as refugees, and they used to weave in here because Norwich back then, 500-600 years ago, was very famous for its textiles. And he used to frequent the Red Lion down there, and he used to visit Catherine. You see, so as I said, twice a week the friar would travel underneath these tunnels over to that house where the women worked and where Catherine worked. Catherine was seeing someone quite regularly, a paying customer, a Dutchman from Strangers Hall, the weaver. But he wasn't happy about the situation. He had fallen in love with Catherine. He didn't like the way she was being treated. And this went on for a long while. And enough was enough. So he said to her, what we need to do is I need to wait in them tunnels and do something about this. So she unlocked the door deep down under the ground where the tunnels were and let him in, and he lay in wait. The monk came, walked straight past him, didn't notice him, went and got his wicked way had his wicked way with Catherine, and then left. See, in them days, they never used to pay, so she wasn't getting any money or anything from that at all. She was just being abused. And the monk left. He walked down the tunnels, and that's when our Dutchman gutted him like a fish. Now, it isn't known what happened after that, whether they got away with it or whether they didn't. There's nothing in history that I found that says anything else, but I would like to think that maybe there's a chance that they spent the rest of their lives together happy, and that they weren't strung up for what they'd done. But To this day, the man in black, hence the fragrance, still roams up and down here, waiting to get his revenge.